They lack discipline. Can the Orange and Blue clean it up and get the split in South Florida after a disastrous performance last game? We get you set for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Oilers and the Panthers right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Live on location, Hudson's Bourbon Street. It's starting to fill up. People are getting excited, anticipating a better performance from the Edmonton Oilers. Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas with you. Of course, Joaquin Gage lingering about here on Bourbon Street. Socializing, making friends, doing what he does best. Shawn Belle will be stopping by. Big shout out to Jeff and Adam and the entire staff here at Hudson's Bourbon Street. Steve as well. And I want to say hi to our friends from Minnesota. It's Jesse, Dana, and Grant, who are here from Minnesota. They're big-time listeners, and they watch EST, as well as Jet Oil Tom, who is a Winnipeg sports talker. Yeah. He's in town. We're wishing him and his family well, and super nice to meet him as well, Nancito.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's
Hi,
great.
Fergie. Yes, the one-fingered salute. That's lovely.
It's great to see all the Nazis, like you said, the new fans of VST coming here from all places.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's going to be fun. A lot of reservations here for the game tonight. You can text us 780-218-9999. Share your thoughts with us. Get into the chat if you're watching on YouTube. We want to hear from you. Are you nervous? Are you feeling good about tonight? Are you worried that we're going to see the same type of performance from the Oilers that we saw back on Game 3? That was a disaster, like I said, off the top, but I'm thinking that they're going to be much better tonight. Nancito, how are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, Mr. Game 4, Stuart Skinner's got really good numbers. He's 17-3 in his career in games 4 to 7.
Yeah.
The Oilers are 5-1 when Troy Stecher plays in a playoff game this year. So there's a lot to like. And listen, the Game 3 was a write-off. They were terrible. Every single
right out
player,
of the gate, 56 seconds in.
Right out of the gate. I expect Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to be flying. It's interesting yesterday, the whole fiasco with the media and the practice and all that.
But is it a fiasco?
No. That's why it's a story, but it's not even close to a big story. But the point is that Knobloch says today, the guys wanted to go on the ice. And I trust
to me, that's a good sign.
Yes, 100%.
You're in the middle of a cup final. You've been in the playoffs for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
And your big dogs want to go on the ice instead of hang out at the beach.
Yeah.
I'd take that as a good sign. I'd take that as a learning experience from last year, some growth, personal growth, even though these are guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s.
It's a veteran team.
Veteran team as Raider Jesse walks in. Hello, Raider Jesse. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. Yeah, fantastic. I didn't mind it. And listen, I understand where the frustration came from the media point of view, because it was said no player availability.
Yeah.
And then you build your day around that. We talked about it on the Hangout and a little bit on Two Guys and a Goalie. You worked in communications for a professional team. Yeah. That is a disconnect.
And I worked for Chris Jones.
And that was hectic.
We never knew what was going on.
You guys didn't even know what was going on.
It's frustrating. It's stressful. And listen, as PR guys, you're not trying to do anything to stick it to the media.
No.
You're giving information, you relay it, and if things change. That's up to the coach and the players. And I saw it on the football side a lot with Chris Jones. Mm-hmm. So for me, it wasn't and I get the frustration. Sure, you're trying to cover a Stanley Cup Final, but at the end of the day, everything worked out, right? The guys went on the ice. I heard it was fast, really quick. Yeah.
That's a good sign. And then today, McDavid and Draisaitl spoke together. Yeah. That was kind of a peace offering, basically, from not only the Oilers PR, but NHL PR. Yeah. Because the NHL PR, we have to remind everyone, they've taken over, essentially. Yes. So they're working in concert with Oilers PR. I understand the frustration from our fellow media brethren. I also get it from the team point of view, having worked for
100%.
That team in particular for 8 years. So it's a story because it's an off day and there's 2 days between games and we make a big deal out of it. It'll be moot point by the end of the night for sure. All right, you can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. CJ in Chicago made her way to South Florida today. I saw her Instagram post. She says, Tommy, I am sunburnt and en route to the rink. The vibes couldn't be higher. Goyle. CJ had like 3 jerseys packed. She's got all her orange and blue. Hopefully she's got her Edmonton Sports Talk pin somewhere on there representing us at EST. CJ, have fun tonight. It's gonna be wild in there. I think it's gonna be a great vibe. Obviously, Panthers fans hoping to take a stranglehold of this series. Oilers fans thinking, not so quickly, not so fast. Hang on a second. Let's bring this thing back to Edmonton. Even up. All right. Before we get into starting lineups, we will be doing the question of the night, and that comes from the Latino Heat. Nancito, what do you got for us?
Yeah, it's interesting. Someone, kind of stealing it from one of our nads, someone asked us on the ESD afternoons, this game tonight, I was going to call you Connor for some Connor McDavid.
Sure. Okay.
It's because you're great.
Okay.
Yeah, this game tonight, is this kind of a legacy game for the Oilers, win or lose? Because if they win, it's like they're coming home.
Man,
they're coming home for a best of 3 with home ice advantage. If they lose, it's tough. It's really tough, Tom.
I'm going to say no.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't. I think this could be a scrappy, ugly win, and I don't know how many people are actually going to remember it. But I mean, it could be a statement win. If something crazy happens, then sure, call it a legacy win. But I think it could be a dogfight, and we just like at the end of the day, it's like, oh, but they survived.
Maybe legacy is too strong of a word.
That is a strong word.
But is this like it's such an important game, Tom? That I guess what the listener was trying to say was, if they lose, there's a good chance Florida could go all the way. If they tie it and let's say they're dominating, can the Oilers roll to 3 straight wins, right? So,
well, I picked them in 6, so yes.
So how important is this game? Maybe not legacy.
It is vital. Obviously, it is vital. It's not the be-all, end-all, and I hope people understand that after watching what happened last year. Not to say that these two teams are exactly the same as last year. This is a huge turning point in the series. This is when it gets into the nitty-gritty and the deep part of the series. We only have 8 days of potential hockey left of this NHL season. We only have 4 games potentially left. It's a huge game. It's vital. Legacy, perhaps, depending on what happens. Is it nerve-wracking? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a legacy game? Like, can you even call it a legacy game before it's even happened and we don't know what's going to transpire, if somebody's going to do something magical?
I think you can call it.
Something stupid happens. Who knows, right? Like,
I think you can call it that once it's over and we know who won.
Exactly.
Right?
Vital over legacy is what I would say. You tell us. Is this a legacy game? Is that what you want to go with?
Kev says, yeah. This game is franchise important. Yeah, sure. Yeah, 100% it is. We just thought it was an interesting question because this Florida team is the toughest team they've met these playoffs. They're up 2-1. They took over game 3. They ran them out of the building. But I'm expecting a hell of a game tonight. I think the Oilers do bounce back, but it is an interesting question. How important? It's important, Tom. I mean, no one's denying that. But yeah, the legacy one, it was an interesting one. And Gager and I kind of went back and forth on it, and I think we both agreed that it could be.
It could be. Yeah. I'm not denying that. If like something special would have to happen for it to be a legacy game.
Yeah.
And like I said, it could just be a dogfight that the Oilers survive, a dogfight that the Panthers come out on top. I don't know, but I don't think we can call it a legacy game till it's done.
Sure.
Vital, yes. Legacy game, I wouldn't call it that just yet. Let's go to Schmokey the Bear texting in. Schmokey the Bear says, last game was a learning experience, and the Oilers have gotten really good at learning from crappy experiences. Actually, he used an expletive. Experiences. Expecting a big game from McDavid and Draisaitl. They've been kept off the score sheet recently, and when that happens, they respond with highlight reel games. Overall, I'm feeling good about tonight. Let's drag them back to Alberta, tied at 2. And I do have some stats, actually, on the Oilers and McDavid and Draisaitl in particular after a game following a loss. McDavid of 1.83 points per game average, 66 points in 36 games after a loss in the playoffs. Same for Draisaitl, number of games, 36. He's got a 1.50 points per game average. That's 54 points. It's pretty damn good. So those guys generally responded. I pointed this out a couple of times, but when they were panning the bench at one point in the third period, you saw Draisaitl, having known him for, like 12 years now, he's sitting there, he's puckering his lips.
Yeah.
And he's like nodding his head, and I'm like, yo, he's mad.
Oh yeah.
He's angry. And I liked that look from him.
And Skinner said post game, remember, he said Leon had some things to say, and it was good. And there's
he stood up and he spoke to the group. Yeah. So
it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get to this text here. Spruce Grove Corey says, don't bury the lead, you guys. Jeff Skinner goal incoming tonight. That leads us into starting lineups, brought to you as always by South Fort Chev. Go see Daniel and his team in the Fort. They'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade-in. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. For the orders, there are some lineup tweaks. You heard the Jeff Skinner thing from Spruce Grove Corey, so let's get to it. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Connor Brown instead of Corey Perry.
Yes.
Leon Draisaitl centering Evander Kane and Kasperi Kapanen. That line stays the same. Adam Henrique with Jeff Skinner, Hernan Salas, and Trent Frederick on his line. And then you've got Matthias Janmark between Vasily Podkolzin and Corey Perry down on the fourth line. Perry putting together a good playoffs. Maybe they want a little bit more speed with Connor Brown on that top line. Don't get me wrong. We'll probably get a healthy dose of Corey Perry. On defense for the Oilers tonight, Kulak with Bouchard. You're going to see Nurse with Stecher. So Stecher coming in for John Klingberg. And then Ekholm with Wallman. I find that pairing to be a bit odd. I don't know why. I just find Wallman with Ekholm interesting.
Smoke screen again?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we'll see. I think we're going to see some rotations with the defensive pairings. And then when it comes to the anything you want to note about the Oilers lines really quickly?
No, I mean, I like Stetch with Nurse. I think it's going to be Bouchard Ekholm. I do. Yeah. I don't mind Connor Brown going up to the top line because he's been kind of off this series. So that might get him going here. Okay. And then again, you're going to see different wingers on that line. So I'm not too committed to it sticking all games.
I think that's a good reminder. I mean, we get hung up on lines, we get hung up on pairings, and we know, and we've seen it all through Chris Knobloch's tenure as head coach of the Oilers. It gets jumbled up in game pretty quickly, depending on the situation. Let's go to the Florida Panthers now. Here's what we're expecting from them lineup wise: Alexander Barkov between Carter Verhaeghe and Sam Reinhart. Sam Bennett centering Evan Rodriguez and Matthew Tkachuk. You got Anton Liddell between Eetu Luostarinen and Brad Marchand. And then the fourth line, Tomas Nosek with AJ Greer and Jonah Gadjevich. On defense for the Panthers, Gustav Forsling with Aaron Ekblad, Nico Mikkola with Seth Jones, Nate Schmidt with Dmitry Kulikov. Your starting goalies tonight for the Oil, 26-year-old Stuart Skinner, 7-6 these playoffs, 284 goals against average, 894 save percentage with 3 shutouts in 13 games in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. And then Skinner versus the Panthers, lifetime in the playoffs, 4-6 record, 281 goals against average, 893 save percentage in those 10 games. His stats and averages took a thumping after the last game. At the other end of the rink, it will be 36-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, 14-6 this postseason, 215 goals against average, 916 save percentage, 3 shutouts in 20 games in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs, 6-4 with a 256 GAA, 911 save percentage, 1 shutout in 10 playoff games against Edmonton over the course of his career. Goalies, you want to mention anything?
No, I mean, Skinner's numbers have shown that he bounces back. I'm very intrigued to see him and how he responds early in this game. I am expecting others to come out fast and hard, so we'll see how Bob handles it too. Bob's a vet, right? Like he's calm, cool, collected. I think the same for Stuart Skinner. So we'll see. It's going to be a good matchup once again. Bob obviously has the upper hand right now in the goaltending because of the 6-1 win. So it's an interesting story, Tom, because things go sideways again. The big topic ahead of Game 5 is going to be, but we won't go there right now because we're doing the pregame show, and we'll see how the Oilers respond. Two new guys in the lineup. Stuart Skinner getting a vote of confidence going back to him in Game 4, so I like it.
All right, let's go to the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You've got a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Zach Hyman, wrist dislocated. Alec Regula, he's been out in the entire time he's been a member of the Edmonton Oilers, did get a contract extension, 2-year, two-way deal. His knee has been an issue. As for the Panthers, no injuries.
No injuries.
So there you go. There's your Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. All right. Our game analyst, Matt Kassian, is standing by. We're going to get him on here. Coob, if you can cue up Cass and Jared in regard to the question of the night. Is this a legacy game for the Oilers, is what Hernan is asking everyone. Text us, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. Jared says, legacy game doesn't matter if it's good or not. It's one of your biggest games. It'll go down as your legacy, good or bad. That's from Jared. KCF says this is a legacy game. McDavid has no goals in his last 5 games in the final. Legacy, KCF. He wants it tonight. KCF, welcome back to the program as we get Matt Kassian in here, our game analyst. Cass, what would you say to the question of the night? Is this a legacy game for the Edmonton Oilers?
No, I don't think so. Because to me, if they end up losing the series, we're not going to look and say Game 4 is where they lost the series, right? Like they fell apart in that, particularly with how they lost last game. Like if they lose today, and then they lose again, like let's say they lose the next 2, we're gonna be then looking at Game 3, and that's gonna be the legacy game, right? Where we look at the Oilers blew up and emotionally fell apart, and it was a disaster, right? And so, but let's say they lose today, and then they win the next one, right? Then lose in Game 6. Well, we're going to be looking probably at Game 6 in that instance as the legacy game where they bounce back. They had a chance and then they lose the series. Like it just, to me, it's the tweener game, and now it's the incredibly important game, but it's the tweener game, right? Like you're either going to be looking at that Game 3 where they fell apart, or you're going to be looking at the next game that they lose, depending on what happens. So I don't know. To me, it's not a legacy game. Now, does it build into a legacy? Absolutely. Does it factor into what we view as McDavid's playoff legacy and Draisaitl's playoff legacy? For sure. But to me, this isn't like the legacy game for him. It's not.
You want to add anything to that, or are you going to retort?
No, it was just a question. Doesn't mean I believe. Disagree. Yeah.
I said it's not. It depends on what happens. Like if it's like something magical happens, then I think maybe we could look at it as a quote unquote legacy game. I do think it's vital. I think that's
tremendously important.
Tremendously important. Yes, absolutely. But people do have responded by saying it's a legacy game. So I get it. I understand why they would say it, but I don't feel like it is.
Well, it's interesting because the one gentleman on the nasty chat said it's maybe a legacy game for Connor because he hasn't scored in 5 straight Stanley Cup Final games.
I think that was KCF who said that. Yeah. Would you agree with that? Like he puts a stamp on it, and it's a legacy game, or I don't know. I understand where he's coming from with that. No, Cass? All right.
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from that. I mean, it's a building, right? Like it's a build-up. It's generally legacies aren't just one moment, right? Now, sometimes they are for some players, some people. You have your moment, right? You have the one moment, but it's a build-up. It's a build-up. So I do understand where people can get there with it.
All right. Very nice. Let's get into Game Changers. Brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Number one, I like what you did here, Cass. Pissy.
Yep. Got to see it tonight. But not as I was talking about on the podcast, Tommy, which you so graciously and beautifully and wonderfully hosted earlier. 2 guys and a goalie at noon, filling in for Dustin Nielsen, who's calling some CFL action.
That's right.
I talked about rather, like operating in that, a little bit cranky, but not losing your mind type of zone. And to me, that's where the Edmonton Oilers need to be tonight. And we need to see from them. Like, we need to see not frustration, not playing out of frustration, but we need to see them playing with that edge, with that little bit of, screw you. We don't care. We're just going to do us, and we're going to play like we need to play, and we're just going to beat you. However you want to play, we're going to beat you. Like, you need that type of a pissy attitude. We don't need like a freaking out snap show, the losing self-control type of attitude. We don't need taking foolish penalties in the offensive zone and then getting frustrated and then snapping and losing all kinds of composure because of the referees type of pissy. You need like a focused, driven, motivated, on edge, like on the verge of those things, but never quite crossing the line. Like just that agitated, angry, mean-spirited, mean to play against, mean around the net, mean in the corners, mean in the neutral zone, mean on the draws. Like, just that challenging, difficult, angry to play against, but not losing your composure. And that's a tough line to walk. It really can be a tough line to walk. But we need to see them get there. They've been at that line for a good chunk of the playoffs, and they just completely lost it in Game 3. They just lost it, completely lost it. Well, combination of the referees, their own play, the play and frustrating play of the Florida Panthers, like everything factors into that. But guys, they have to settle back into that mode of just worrying about themselves and playing with that edge and just being a little bit pissy. Like, that's what I want to see tonight, guys.
And they lost it early in Game 3.
56 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, just look at the Oilers. Like the Florida Panthers are laughing in the first period, and the Oilers were losing it. Jake Wallman, for one, he got 2 fines. So it happened early in that game that the Oilers lost their composure. Right? It didn't help. Like you said, Kane takes an early penalty. Yeah, and then it kind of goes all downhill from there. And I think it's important for the Oilers to remain physical, but don't get involved in the after the whistle stuff, because that's where they get you. And
they engaged the after the whistle stuff too. They initiated a lot of it, didn't they?
That's why I'm intrigued today to see how the Oilers respond to the physical part of the game and all the after whistle stuff, because I thought Florida did a masterful job of that in Game 3, sucking in the Oilers and getting them off their game.
Cass and Nanso, when Brad Marchand is chirping your bench, pointing at his head, going, "We're smarter than you guys," that to me is insulting.
Yeah.
That would infuriate me. A, you hate guy. B, he's right. And C, they're kicking the living out of you on the scoreboard. Like, I would be so angry. Like, I'm not an Edmonton Oiler. I'm not a Florida Panther. I'm covering the Stanley Cup Final. And I'm watching that, and I'm seeing that replay of him going, "We're smarter than you guys." And I'm like, oh, my, that would make my blood boil if I was playing in this game.
Salt in the wound.
I hate that guy. Am I fair in saying that?
Oh, yeah, salt in the wound. But even like, I can't remember if it was Tkachuk and Wallman, which I'm trying to think of which scrum it was. It was one of the scrums still earlier in the game where I felt my blood boiling a little bit. And I think it was with Tkachuk and the stick up in the face. And I'm like, I would want to snap so bad. And it's like, I totally would understand. Like I could feel it in my gut where like that fire is there. And it's like, if I'm feeling it and I'm just watching the game, like I'm watching the game, I'm not even playing the game and I'm feeling that, is like, it's a real thing. And those emotions are real and have to deal with it. But I mean, that does speak to Marchand. Like he's a veteran guy that has been driving people crazy for a long time. He was driving people crazy when I was playing it around, right? Like and even talking when he was first starting, like and now Edmonton, Oak Bank, Manitoba native, now Edmonton resident Drew Bagnall, my old roommate from playing in Houston. He before he came to Houston in the Minnesota organization, he was with LA. And so out in Manchester, the Manchester Monarchs at the time. And so they would play Providence all the time. Like in that division, you play each other, just like most places in the NBA, you play each other a lot. And man, he just would stories about how much he just wanted to murder Marchand. He's like, I just wanted to murder that guy.
I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
licking people's faces and stuff. Like he just absolutely does that. But the thing with rats and guys and he's a skilled rat, right? Because he's not just playing dirty, right? Like he's playing dirty and driving you nuts, and he's scoring goals, and he's like actually a very good player in his own right, even if he's not like just chittering and chirping, although that really helps, I think, with just what he is doing overall. Sam Bennett, same sort of thing, although a little different in terms of style. But those guys is like they'll chirp you with one thing until you lose your cool, and then it's like they go right for the raw nerve in that you did lose your cool because you did. So it's like it's kind of like those. I don't know if you guys ever pay attention to like comedians and humor, but a lot of times with comedians, we laugh and it's kind of funny, or it can be aggravating because it's like there's that little hint of truth, even if it's skewed and it's not the actual truth. It's like there's a little hint of the truth in there, and that's just what makes it even more infuriating. It's like, well, it's not all true. You're exaggerating the truth, but you're taking that little bit that is true, and you're just jabbing with it, like just trying to drive people crazy, and they do it really well, and it's so frustrating. And you just, again, like I was feeling, I'm like, I want to cross check him in the face. Like it sticks up in my face like that, and there's a linesman in between. Like I am moving heaven and earth to have my gloves off to try to rip this guy's throat out. Like again, that's where my thought goes. Is like, I'd try to punch the guy right in the neck, like sort of thing. Like if I couldn't hit him in the face, like just something. And so it's something real to contend with. And hey, there's guys in Florida that do that incredibly well, and it's incredibly frustrating. But you have to find a way on the other side of it to manage it.
Yeah.
Right. Just to let him, because if he says that and he's chittering at you and you don't lose your cool, then it's whatever. Right. You just shrug it off. And then you go beat them on the scoreboard. But pretty tough when you're just everyone's losing it, and people are getting kicked out, and all the things are happening.
So point number one of Game Changers, that was a lot of fun. We went through a lot there. Was pissy, and then Tamara the Wig Lady texts in and says, "So pissy, like a hangry teenager." Yes, exactly. Yeah. Good correlation there. All right, it is Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cast number one was pissy. Number two, low support.
Yeah, I think this needs to get better. And you're talking about McDavid and legacy game, or Draisaitl and legacy game, and wanting those guys to put up some more points, and McDavid in particular, score a goal and be more offensively threatening. So much of this with me starts with that low support in the defensive zone with the centerman. Trying to, either when Florida has a puck, force good turnovers and have players like McDavid in motion in good support positions, or when you have the puck and you're under pressure. I think the forwards, and I chewed on this a little bit this afternoon when I was thinking about the game tonight. I'm thinking about what are we going to talk about? What do I see as being something that needs to change for Edmonton to have success? And this is where I landed, is I think Edmonton's forwards need to do a better job of providing outlets for the defensemen. I think they need to get back quicker. They need to work harder to get back in the defensive zone in support positions to make it easier for the defenseman to find you. Now, it's not everybody every single time, because you need to open up some of the ice. Like you can't have everyone back deep in your own zone, because then Florida and their aggressive nature is just going to push up and take away your time and space. Like you need to force them to spread out. But with the centerman in particular, because that's the most difficult. It's the most, like, centerman getting low and in support on breakouts in positions. That's one of the more difficult things to defend, because that F3 or the third forward that's high, especially if you're playing ultra aggressive, two guys in on the forecheck, which Florida does, it becomes more and more difficult for that guy to creep in deeper into the zone. Because if you get caught, now all of a sudden it's an on-man rush in transition the other way. So for Edmonton's forwards, the centerman, particularly going to pick out the centerman here, I really do think that they need to do a better job of getting back, getting a little bit lower, neutral zone and defensive zone in transition, to generate some of that space and that speed that I really think will open up the ice for them in the offensive zone. So that's a big one to me, is forwards getting back, centerman in particular, creating a little bit more space to force Florida to deal with your speed in that transition.
Got anything for that?
Nope.
All right, low support is point number 2 here on Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian, Gazzola and Hernan Salas, live on location. Hudson's Bourbon Street, it's filling up. Great contingent of nasties are here. Oh, there's Ty, good to see him. And we're having a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Cass, point number 1 was pissy. Point number 2, low support. Point number 3, a change on D.
Yeah, Troy Stecher stepping into the lineup. Klingberg struggling a little bit the last couple games. Difficult for him to find the pace that he had in the Dallas series, or just difficult to deal with a forecheck from Florida that's relentless, where Dallas just didn't have that same sort of push and jump, and I don't think challenged him the same way. So I think I'm on board with this decision, with the 2 objectives of hopefully calming down Darnell Nurse and pulling the best out of him, as well as hopefully adding maybe a little bit more grit, a little bit more sandpaper there. Now, Stetcher's not a huge guy. It's not like he runs people over, but he does play with a little bit of an edge in his game. Like, he doesn't shy away from physical contact. And Klingberg, he's not a guy that loves physical contact. He loves to skate. He loves to spin off. He loves to try to generate by stepping around guys and handling the puck and holding on to it. And Stetcher's a little bit more meat and potatoes. And I think they're looking at this going, as a team, we need a little bit more meat and potatoes here, because Florida is, at its core, a meat and potatoes team that just tries to ram their forecheck at you over and over and over again. And so maybe someone that can respond a little bit better to that was Stecher stepping in. And then again, hopefully with Darnell Nurse, he just pulls that next level out. Because Nurse, I don't think Nurse has been horrible through the first 3 games. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been, similar to Klingberg, he hasn't been at the level that he had earlier in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Nurse's best has been when he was playing with Troy Stecher. So we get that tonight. Looking forward to seeing it. It's not like it's the biggest move in the world, but hopefully that adds just a little bit more stability and consistency to the defenseman, which again is going to be so important in terms of trying to alleviate what Florida's trying to do with their pressure and with their forecheck to keep the puck on the stick of the Edmonton Oilers, to be able to transition offense and hopefully go down and score some goals.
I know we talked about this on 2 Guys and a Goalie earlier. Fantastic show on this fine station. But getting Jeff Skinner in there, Cass, you had a theory on that. I figure we may as well talk about it here on the pregame show.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good theory. That's why it's my theory.
I know. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. You're trying to do a couple things. The first is you're making a change. You lost the game. You're trying to mentally switch it up. You're putting in a guy that's going to be excited to be in, right? He's excited to be in. He's ready to go. He's chomping at the bit. Going to have some positive emotion in mood in the dressing room, where, even if people are kind of feeling down and moody about last game, like he's not feeling down and moody about last game. He's like, let's freaking go. Like, I'm back in. And that, from a guy and a veteran guy, is a positive thing, I think. And second to that, I think, to me, the move from taking Arvidsson out and putting in as Skinner it's kind of a backup for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, because I don't, and if it is his wrist, which you think it is, and I assumed it was wrist, hand, arm, elbow, shoulder, like it's something
wrist.
To do. Yeah. I know what you're saying, but and I'm assuming it's on his bottom hand as well, left hand. I don't know how well he can shoot. And so if you're thinking, okay, we're going to have some power plays here, and if Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, even if he's trying, even if he's able to do most things, he's able to defend, he's able to make passes, but he's not necessarily going to be in a position where he can blast one-timers, or you can expect him to absolutely lean into one to try to rocket it. And if he can't, I think you want someone that has not just power play experience, but has had really good power play experience and is comfortable making plays out there on the power play and in that position. And to me, when we're looking at that, that's probably Jeff Skinner. So I think that's the reason you're looking at this, because between the two, and I know there's criticism of Skinner, and that's fine. But between the two, if we had to say between Arvidsson or Skinner, if we had to have someone play in the top 6 to potentially put up some offense for you, we're probably looking at Skinner over top of Arvidsson. Now, if we're wanting someone in the bottom six just to muck and grind, and that's all they're going to do, no power play time, no potential of playing in the top six, well, then, yeah, we're probably looking at Arvidsson. But I just think that you have a more likely Nuge replacement in Jeff Skinner, and that's why he's in the lineup.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we saw Wallman take his spot last game. Maybe they're more comfortable.
At the end of that one power play where they did score.
So maybe they want Skinner in there instead of Wallman as a better option.
Yeah.
I'm going to be intrigued to see his ice time. Jeff Skinner, that is. I
do have a question about this.
Okay.
Do you guys think his style, the way Skinner, we've seen him play this year as an Oiler, can handle the type of game that the Panthers throw at the Oilers? Do you think he'll be okay in that regard, or do you think it kind of pushes him to the outside?
When you're in these games, I think you're going to do everything to be in there, right? Muck it up. But, yeah, is he the kind of player that's going to succeed in this kind of series?
Can he succeed? Can he thrive? Cass, yeah. I mean, I think you're the best to ask about this.
Well, we don't know because we've only seen him in one playoff game, but point a game player, fellas. So we don't know. He's not. Yeah, we haven't seen it, but can Skinner survive in that type of game? Yeah, I think he can. I think he can. I think it all depends on his mentality. Do we see that mentality of the Jeff Skinner that we saw later in this season when he had a little bit of a switch? Right, like he started to play a little bit more responsibly defensively, continued to get some offensive opportunity, and he played at a better, I would say, better pace at that point.
Right.
So I think the potential is there. The potential is there. Now, will he be ready for that level of intensity because he hasn't played very much in the playoffs? That's going to be the question, and we won't know until we see him out there. But the potential, guys, is there. The potential is there. Now, if it doesn't go right, it probably will be because the game is just too fast at this point. Like if we're looking at if it doesn't go well for Jeff Skinner, that would most likely be it.
Okay, I want to get to a couple of texts here that have come in. Cass, I want to bounce them off of you. Anna, I'm curious to hear what Nanso has to say about this. It comes in from Looney Len. We'll go here first. Looney Len texts in and says, I still don't understand why Wallman gets a fine for $5,000 for squirting water on the Panthers bench and the unsportsmanlike conduct. And then the Panthers steal his glove. And how is that not unsportsmanlike conduct? It's like the refs are blind to it, including Panthers instigating everything. What would you respond to that query from Looney Len with, Cass?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, right? Like that's the frustrating thing, and that teams do. And as we see so often, it's not the instigating team; it's the retaliating team that gets called for things thrown at them. Like that's typically what the league and officials go for. But it has always been thus, right? That hasn't changed. Like how often is it the first guy gets away with it and the second guy that throws a punch in the scrum gets called for it? And so for Wallman, yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's incredibly frustrating. Like again, like I would want actually maybe even I'll back it up. Like with the Wallman and the squirting the water bottle thing, you probably take the fine, right?
Right.
Like you probably take guy throws your glove on the bench. Yeah, you might do that. And yes, you're the one because it's observed quite blatantly by everyone. That's why they fine you, because they want to be like, oh, look, we're patrolling and this is going to be on the news and sports news and everyone's going to be talking about it. But realistically, it's like they should be calling both. Like throwing the glove, that's a dirtbag garbage play.
It's deliberate, 100%.
But it's deliberate, and it should be, the consequences should be the same because it's just as bad. Really, it just is. But again, that's not how the league operates. It's not how the officials operate. So it's not going to happen.
It's the playoffs.
Any more for Cass? You got one more from
Cass? I was going to ask you about Arvidsson coming out. Thoughts? I mean, there's really one other option that I think was realistic, which is Trent Frederick. But what do you make of this?
Yeah, Trent Frederick would be the other option. I think they're holding on to the hope that Trent Frederick still pans out. Like if that makes sense. Like where he can finally put the puck in the net. because he's had some decent chances and some good looks.
Yes.
And even this series, he's had some good looks, but he just hasn't been able to pull the trigger. I think they're just banking on that at some point he's going to be able to turn that corner. Where Arvidsson, I mean, you've seen him at his, we'll call it at his season's best so far this year, and you've seen him a lot more frequently at his season's, I don't want to say worse, but the season, like, just disappearedness. Ghosting,
Yeah.
I don't know what the correct term is, but where he's just kind of invisible. You know, when he throws the ninja dust and kind of disappears, and you're like, well, where has he been the last two games? You know, I think you know that already, and you're just hoping that there's some more upside to Frederick. And just from a physical standpoint, yes, Arvidsson gets in there, but Frederick is just bigger. He's just stronger, and he's just more able in a scrum around the net to dish it out just as much as he takes. And again, not that Arvidsson doesn't try to hit, not that he doesn't try to get in the corners and go to the front of the net. He does, but Frederick's just a bigger body when he's like, you know, you get hit by Arvidsson at speed X and the same speed X, Frederick hits you, you're going to feel Frederick a little bit more. Like, and that's, I think, the mindset behind it.
People want Frederick to have his Peter Klima moment. I love that reference, and I will always use it. I just, if he can have that, that would be magical 30-something years later. All right, Cass, fantastic work as always, my friend. I look forward to catching up with you on the post-game show.
Sounds good, fellas. Let's hope it's a fun one.
Hey, let's go. There is Matt Kassian, our game analyst, with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon, Bunting, Real Estate. If you're looking to get into the market, maybe you're looking to sell your property, go see our guy, Damon Bunting Real Estate, and then Damon Bunting. Yes, how can I help you?
I think that's Joel DeBlanco from the Elks.
Right here?
Yeah.
You know him. You were there
I
when he
didn't want
got
to yell
drafted.
at
Is he a nasty?
I don't know. Look at our coop. Pull.
What does it say?
Jeff Skinner play style hold up against Florida? So far, 59% says yes, he'll be good.
Yeah.
26% it can, but likely not. And then 15% no, he's going to break.
Oh, jeez. All right, we'll keep an eye on that one as we move through the show. We've got about 15 minutes left. CB Radio guy texting in says, Cass, I can't agree more with you. Short passes instead of these long breakouts. The Red Wings supported the D like this, and they were a great team. This gives the defense more time, too, because the passes are shorter and not as high risk as trying to hit a guy in the neutral zone. And then CB Radio guy followed up with, Tommy, what are Skinner's career numbers against the Panthers? He would have played against them the most during his time out east. Well, good for you, CB Radio guy, because I looked it up, and I looked at his career splits. And Jeff Skinner has played 48 games against the Florida Panthers. That's not the most. It is one of the highest numbers because he has spent the majority of his career out east. 18 goals, 13 assists, 31 points, -17 in those 48 games. Yes, indeed, Nancito. 28 penalty minutes. And so the 18 goals, listen, he's scored more goals against Montreal. He's got 27 lifetime. 21 against New Jersey, 19 against the Rangers, 18 against the Flyers, and 18 versus Florida. So, I mean, it is a team he has played quite a bit.
Yeah.
He's played more against the Rangers, Islanders, Devils, Sens, Flyers, Penguins, Bruins as well. But he has put up numbers against them, Columbus. No, he's played more against Florida than Columbus. But, yeah, I mean, the Panthers, and during Skinner's NHL career, obviously almost 100% of it regular season. He's only played 2 playoff games in his lifetime. The Panthers were really bad for a good chunk of it.
That's what's that plus minus is a little concerning.
Yeah, that's plus minus isn't the be all.
But you got to put context into it, right?
Sure.
Like, well, what happened on all those goals against? But decent numbers, but at the same time, he was on for a lot of goals against. It seems against Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't think it has much effect on what he does tonight. What he did in the past.
You can ask a guy, can you please just go balls to the wall for a night or two?
Yeah.
Like,
give us your
tank.
best, man.
Yeah.
Give us your best and
play different, be bigger than you are, play bigger than you are, whatever. You guys can do that. I mean, he's been in the league for 15
You don't think he's
years already.
It's his 3rd playoff game of his damn career in the Stanley Cup Finals. If this guy is not shot out of a cannon, like, I'm expecting good things from Jeff Skinner.
Hope for the best.
Yeah.
Coach Mike says, Oil bringing the heat tonight. This thing is going back to Edmonton, tied at 2. I like that positivity, Coach Mike. Nolan out of St. Albert. Shout out to everybody in St. Albert. I know Benny Thompson and the gang are out at a local establishment that Taylor Medic is the GM of. Remember Medic from our 1260 days?
I saw him at the U of A game.
He's an awesome guy.
The sports doctor.
The sports doctor, yeah, Medic. Go see him on St. Albert Trail in a central location.
Look at it. Boom Boom.
Look at this. Boom Boom is here. Oh, he's on his phone like he's doing business. Nolan from St. Albert says, I grew up in Houston. I used to watch Cass and Belsey.
What?
In the flesh. I don't quite remember if their 10 years overlap, though. I have a glove signed by a bunch of the Arrows who came to visit our youth hockey practice. Going to have to check if one of them is Cass or Bell. Haven't even thought of it till now. Love you, Cass. No love for Belsey, who's right there. He's already talking to the waitress. I need a beer, says Belsey. I need a beer. It is holiday happy hour here at Hudson's Bourbon Street as we bring you the pre- and post-game show. I'm going to shout out everybody that's here. Great turnout. When we got here, it was a little bit quiet. It is getting busy, and I like it. Good contingent of nasties. We got Belsey over there. He finagled the table. He's still on his phone. Whatever. All right, we need to get to the numbers. The game day odds check and the numbers brought to you by Play Alberta. Make your bets count for you and everyone else with the Play Alberta app with hundreds of player prop bets on the biggest leagues. NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, you name it. You're not just playing for fun, you're supporting your province. Play Alberta revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit today with promo code YEG50, YEG, Y-E-G, all caps, 50, and get an EST exclusive $50 free bet to get started for the money line tonight. Play Alberta had it at Edmonton plus 125, Florida minus 164. Puck line, Edmonton minus 227, Florida plus 140, over under set at 6.5 tonight. He is, Belsey's signaling, should I come on? Yes, we have a microphone for you. The over under set at 6.5, the over at minus 105, the under at minus 133. That is your game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta, our partners here at Edmonton Sports Talk. YEG50 for an EST exclusive $50 free bet to get started. All right, 780-218-9999. You want to rattle off some texts or anything while we wait for Belsey to get settled in here?
And love you, Bells. Didn't know he was present from Nolan.
Nolan, as I was reading that text, he literally showed up.
This one from Brent. Boys, no matter how things go tonight, I'm so thankful for the second year in a row we're at the dance and really dancing. I remember 15 years ago and looking at the door at the top 5 draft picks in December because we knew the old weren't making it. Tank for blank. Chance are long gone. Enjoy. Good point, man.
That's a good point.
This is because in your lifetime, Tom, for the teams you cheer for, how many opportunities are you going to get like this? Some
not
never
many.
get it.
Yeah, some don't. Right? Some don't.
But it's beautiful. It's wonderful. And they're only down 2-1, guys. So, yeah, let's go. We'll see what happens tonight. It's going to be a fascinating game. The physicality, how the Oilers handle it, the goaltending matchup. Special teams to me is big. The Oilers got to stop taking penalties.
I'm just going to say the PK sucks.
But they're 2 for 12 in their last 2 games. Like, the Oilers got to get going here on the power play as well.
Power play hasn't been great.
Jeff Skinner is a storyline.
Sure.
Are they really going to play Ekholm with Wallman, or is it a smoke screen? You know, does Connor Brown do anything on the top line? It's good.
I don't know.
There's so many damn stories, Tom. I can't wait.
I'm going to sneeze.
Okay, I'll keep talking here.
Take over.
As we're trying to bring in. Belsey just keeps ignoring us.
He's protecting his table.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, by the way. I had to sneeze there.
No worries, man.
Okay. I wanted to finish up that thought on the special team. So overall, Edmonton 4th on the power play at 26.8% heading into this game. The Panthers 6th at 24.7%. PK for the Oilers 67.2%. That is 14th in the playoffs. Panthers PK first overall 86.5%. But here's where we really have to look at it. On the road, Edmonton on the power play 13th in the league in the postseason at 13.3%. PK 60%.
Oh,
that's
boy.
11th in the NHL on the road. And I mean, so many teams have been out for multiple weeks. At home, Florida on the power play is 15th at 10.3%. So their power play isn't particularly good. They got a couple of those goals the other night.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because Edmonton went 8 for 11 on the PK. And then at home, Florida's penalty kill is 4th best at 86.2%. The Panthers do have a shorty this postseason. That came a couple games ago here in Edmonton. Brad Marchand scoring that one.
Right in the pine.
Do you need to protect your table? Are you protecting your table, Belsey? Okay, boom, boom. You do your thing.
Right.
If you want to hop on, whenever you want.
Right in the pine. Where did it go? Damn it.
Right in the pine. We're going to get Belsey on here for
He says, my liver has paid for a cup. Well, touche, my friend. I feel... You're not the only one, brother.
It honestly feels like a bunch of people's livers have paid for a Stanley Cup as we welcome in Shawn Belle. What's going on over there?
Oh, not much. I'm just trying to protect the table. You know, it's there's a lot of sharks in the water right now. So
yes, there are.
Those guys were just hovering, and they didn't want me to have it for too long. So here we are.
All right, Belsey. We only have a couple minutes. Give us some thoughts on tonight in game 4 here.
It's gonna be a good game. The Oilers need to stay out of obviously the penalty trouble. Find a way to just get back to their game, and you can't play Florida's game, because if you play Florida's game, well, they're better at it than you are. So find a way to play the way that you do, which is a puck possession style, speed with some tenacity, and obviously that physicality. Don't back down from anything, because you don't want to get pushed around. But once again, play your game. And if you do that, I think the Oilers will give themselves the best chance to win. If you fall into the trap, well, then I don't like your chances.
Belsey, Nolan from St. Albert, who grew up in Houston, says he had a chance to watch you and Cass play with the Arrows. And he has a glove that's signed by a bunch of the Arrows, and he might have your signature. And he says he loves you.
Oh, well, I loved Houston. It was what a great time. And Cass was an absolute grizzly bear.
Yeah. Did you guys play together there?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did some weird things in Houston, like beat up a lot of dudes. We also had John Scott at the same time. Tough team. Like it was interesting. So I loved my time there.
You would sign a Houston Arrows jersey, but not an Oklahoma City Barons one.
No, not that Oklahoma City Barons jersey. Like that thing was wretched.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, it was bad.
The logo was nice. The jersey not so good. Belsey, you're gonna stick around for a bit?
I'll be here.
All right. Well, enjoy. Get back to your table so nobody takes it. No sharks in the water.
No sharks in the water.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, big boy.
No problem. Thanks, boys.
All right. There's Shawn Belle. Quick little pit stop with him as we wind down the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show here at Hudson's Bourbon Street. Great contingent of nasties. I'm going to give them a shout out right away here. CB radio guy. Oh, great photo. Him and his daughter ready to go, all oilered up. Let's go. I love seeing that. Old school nasty. Says, do you remember the movie Basketball? The Panthers assistant coach looks just like the little guy. His name was Little in the movie.
That's a funny movie.
That's a great reference. Great movie. It's from the guys that created South Park. I did not make that correlation, but thank you for pointing that out. Jake from Ontario says, hey guys, I'm nervous and excited for this game, but this is definitely one for me where I don't listen to any sound until the Oilers are winning the game. Keeps the anxiety down for me. Hey, Jake from Ontario, you do what you got to do to make yourself feel comfortable watching this game. Before I give shout-outs, some final thoughts for you, Nanso.
I'm expecting a game like game 1 and 2, and I'm expecting the Oilers to win.
Right.
I think they're going to bounce back. They're far too they're just a vet team. They're older guys. They've been through this so many times, Tom. Backs against the wall. I believe they will win tonight. It's not a guarantee. I just believe they will.
I think they will too.
Yeah.
I like what they did yesterday by having top guys skate when they could have had the day off. To me, that's a sign of maturity, focus, determination. I'm curious to see how McDavid and Draisaitl respond if they turn it up themselves. I feel like they will. Their numbers after a loss in the playoffs are astronomically good. I think it's McDavid's at like 1.8 points per game after a loss in the playoffs. Draisaitl at 1.5. Very, very impressive. Let's see if Stu Skinner bounces back. They're going to need him dialed in, and he's Mr. Game 4. We didn't even really talk about that on this show today, and that's fine. So I expect Edmonton to be much better. I think it's still going to be a scary game, a tight game, and I ultimately expect the Oilers to come out on top, bring the series back home to Edmonton, even up at 2. All right. Big shout out to all the nasties who are here tonight. They've been fantastic all year long. We only have a couple of these left. And I want to say thank you to Steve and Adam and Amy and Cheyenne, Connor from Hudson. Everybody's fantastic. To Dana, Jesse, Grant, and Jet Oil Tom, who came into town and knew we were on location. Jesse, Grant, and Dana are from Minnesota, originally Edmontonians, married some girls on their hockey scholarships down in Minnie.
Yeah.
Well done, boys. They married sister. I'm going to tell the story. They married a pair of sisters, and they came up here to experience the Stanley Cup Final in their hometown. They're nasties. They watch and they listen, so shout out to them. And
XL Center, they go every time the Oilers are in town.
That's right. They go watch the Oilers, unfortunately, lose most times at XL Energy Center. And then Jet Oil Tom, he's here for family reasons, but he's a WS tier. And also comes over to EST. So a big shout out to him for stopping by, watching with the Nasties. Fergie's here. Bye, Fergie. Thank you for coming. Yes, kisses to you too. Rob from the Grove, Cheryl. I saw Sarah, Cal in the Park, VR Montenegro. Who else did we see over there? X-Ray J is here now. Belzy's here. Joaquin was here. A great turnout as always, and we can't thank everybody enough. It's going to be a lot of fun here at Hudson's Bourbon Street. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. The Oilers and the Panthers, Game 4. Will the Oil even this series up, or will Florida take a stranglehold? We think we're going to see an even series coming back to Edmonton for Saturday. A big thank you to Zachary Kubish, holding things down back at EST Global HQ. Nanso, good work, my friend.
Likewise, buddy. Let's go. Game 4.
All right, for Belzy and Cass and Nancito, I'm Tomasito saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Enjoy Game 4, Oilers Panthers Cup Final. Here we go, baby. We'll see you on the post-game show.